All right, well, the foreign affairs insanity that has been going on is nothing short of, well, insane. Now, let me plant a flag really quick. The U.S. should completely get out of the Middle East. We don't need their oil. It's unbelievably expensive to be over there, as it has cost us over $5 trillion over the past 2 decades. And given that price tag, I would have expected the Middle East to be a haven of peace at this point. But of course, it's still a den of chaos and mayhem, as it has been throughout almost its entire history. It is far past time to cut our losses, leave them be, let them sort it out themselves, because we don't seem to be helping anyway, especially considering what the Afghanistan papers just brought to light, which people have already forgotten about, in which it was shown that the Pentagon outright lied to everyone. They had no goal, no aim, and many failures they passed off as successes. Our government is not to be trusted one bit, and they are not as competent as they claim to be. But that being said, I've been reading a lot of conversations taking place about Iran versus the U.S. and who's at fault, who shot first, who's to blame. Now, this is a conversation that is very reminiscent of the Bloods and Crips. You see interviews with those guys and it becomes very obvious that assigning blame quickly becomes a pointless endeavor. Someone killed someone, so they killed another person, but they were innocent, so there was a retaliation, and it goes on and on and on like this, and the violence is simply a generational cycle that never seems to end. Well, we can go back and forth like this in regard to Iran and the U.S. as well. The U.S. ousted their democratically elected leader in 1953 and installed the Shah, as he was willing to play ball with the U.S. and England for a nice oil deal. This is corruption and meddling defined on the part of the U.S. Then, Iranian students kidnapped 52 U.S. diplomats and citizens for 444 days. The government kept them for leverage against the U.S. to extradite the Shah. Now, the U.S. has invaded nearly every country surrounding Iran and has placed numerous military bases directly on their border. If any other country overtook Canada and Mexico and placed bases on our border and were releasing propaganda against us, regardless if it's true or not, we would be on edge a bit. That wouldn't be abnormal. But then again, the Iranian government is a brutal theocratic regime. They've killed over 1,000 protesters recently because, as it happens, a huge number of people in Iran are sick and tired of the Iranian regime, especially among the Iranian youth. We could argue over the fact that Iran has backed terrorist organizations, which they have done. However, the U.S. has backed them as well in Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, and Iraq. So anyway, this could go on and on and on for ages. Who is solely at fault for everything? It's an impossible question to answer because no one in this situation has acted completely honorably and without the blood of innocent people on their hands. Because of this, the only sane option I can think of is for the U.S. to stop wasting ungodly amounts of money, time, and human lives trying to force a paradise to come into existence in a place that has a history of almost nothing but centuries of bloodshed and tyranny. We haven't helped, and perhaps if you bring the troops home, our Department of Defense could actually live up to its name now, because for the past however many decades, it has been the Department of Offense, not defense. So leave the Middle East, leave Iraq, do what the Iraqis have voted for us to do, and vacate their premises. Which, by the way, it was funny because Pompeo was on Fox News, and he was asked how he thought the Iraqi parliament was going to vote, and he essentially said Iraq wants us there, they hate Iran, they love our protection, they're going to vote for us to stay. Well, they didn't. It doesn't seem like you have your finger on the pulse of the situation, Pompeo, and you're just another incompetent government bureaucrat. So it's time to leave the Middle East as if it hasn't been for quite some time. But that is all for now. You all take it easy.